Emergency. Paging Dr. Beat.
Yeah.
Emergency. Like, if you have opened TikTok or Instagram at literally any point in the last 6 months, you know that exact sound.
Oh, absolutely. You've definitely been hit with it. It's that frantic, high-pitched vocal loop.
Right. It is just everywhere you're scrolling, and there's a teenager showing off their back-to-school outfits, or, a makeup influencer doing a slick transition.
Or even massive pop stars.
Yes. Like Olivia Rodrigo standing in front of a mirror, just kind of stiffly bopping back and forth to that exact audio clip.
It has basically become the inescapable default soundtrack to the modern Get Ready With Me video.
Totally.
And when you encounter it on your feed, it feels like this perfectly engineered, shiny, 15-second piece of internet ephemera designed purely for an outfit change.
But the true story behind that audio loop involves indigenous street carols, a massive juvenile delinquency panic, and a Philippine presidential election.
Which is just a wild combination.
It really is. So today we are tearing down the TikTok gloss to look at the fascinating, controversial, and deeply grassroots history of Budo.
Right, which is the Filipino electronic dance music subgenre that is actually powering this whole global trend.
Exactly. And we are not just skimming the surface here. We're looking at ground-level reporting from places like Vice and NME, alongside the music history tracked by EDM Identity, and trend analysis from CNN.
Yeah, and when you put all those sources together, you realize this isn't just some fleeting viral moment. I mean, it is a fully formed 20-year-old subculture.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
How does a beat go from being actively banned by authorities in the Philippines to becoming the background noise of millions of smartphones worldwide?
Well, to map that journey, we have to start by completely discarding the way social media presents this music today. We need to look at the actual anatomy of the sound.
Because it's a very specific sound.
Highly distinct. Based on the breakdowns from EDM Identity, it is relentlessly intense. Like, it clocks in at a frantic 140 beats per minute, driven by a heavy 4-on-the-floor beat.
Meaning the bass drum is hitting on every single quarter note. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Well,
it does not give you a break at all.
It absolutely does not. And what stands out the most is how it actively rejects traditional Western song structures.
Like, you won't find a standard verse or chorus.
Exactly. You won't find a pre-chorus progression either. It completely discards the melodic build-ups or the, emotional releases you might expect in traditional house music or Eurodance.
So what is it built on instead?
The architecture of the music relies entirely on pulsating bass lines, and those are layered with an array of cheap, heavily manipulated sound effects, vinyl scratches, and very repetitive, high-pitched synth hooks.
And there is one specific sound that serves as the absolute hallmark of the genre. It's this onomatopoeic TT synth.
Oh yeah, the TT.
It sounds almost like a cartoon ray gun or like a toy siren going off. But what is so striking about that specific noise is where it actually comes from.
Right, it's not just a random preset.
No. Ground-level reporting from filmmakers interviewed by Vice reveal that this hook was actually inspired by the sounds made by the Bajau people.
And for context, the Bajau are a sea-dwelling indigenous group in the Philippines. They are historically marginalized, and many have migrated to urban centers.
Where they are often forced to make a living on the streets.
Yeah. And when they are out caroling or asking for alms in the city, they create these highly rhythmic beats using makeshift instruments.
And they often vocalize that exact 2T sound while they do it.
It's fascinating.
So you have this raw collision of traditional indigenous street rhythm being interpreted through cheap digital electronic software.
Which brings us to the pioneer who actually engineered that collision. His name is Sherwin Kalumpang Tuna.
Though he's known globally as DJ Love.
Right, DJ Love. So in the late 2000s, he was managing a cramped internet cafe on Camas Street in Davao City.
That's located on the southern island of Mindanao, right?
Exactly.
Picture this scene for you listening, because it says everything about the music. DJ Love is sitting in a tiny room filled with coin-operated PCs. He's using a piece of software called FL Studio.
Which is pretty accessible beat-making software.
Right. But he isn't some classically trained musician trying to get a major record deal. He is a local guy making tracks specifically to give the neighborhood street kids something to dance to.
He was just trying to keep them occupied and out of trouble.
Right. And that DIY aspect is exactly why it sounded the way it did. He was a choreographer and a dancer first, not an audio engineer.
He wasn't building music to be played on a massive state-of-the-art club sound system. He was mixing it to sound good on cheap mobile phone speakers.
And makeshift neighborhood sound systems for the kids right outside his door. It's funny, when you describe this fast anti-establishment music made by outcasts that completely rejects formal musical rules.
Yeah.
It sounds exactly like the electronic music equivalent of early punk rock. I mean, completely DIY and built entirely for the local kids on the corner.
That's actually a really great comparison.
But wait, hold on, I'm a little confused. If DJ Love is just one guy in a tiny internet cafe making beats, how did a hyperlocal street beat develop such a distinct, uniform culture so quickly? Like, did he teach everyone in the city how to move?
What's fascinating here is that the culture actually predates the music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the music didn't create the scene. DJ Love simply gave an existing scene its definitive soundtrack. The word Budots itself is Visayan slang.
Visayan being one of the primary language groups spoken in the central and southern Philippines.
Right, and in that slang, Budos translates roughly to slacker or tambay, someone who is basically just hanging out, loitering on the street corner with no real place to be.
So the dance was an expression of that specific lifestyle.
Yes, the physical dance came way before the FL Studio tracks, and it is a highly specific movement. It involves this low, slow shimmying of the knees and elbows, combined with gentle gyrations of the hips.
I've seen videos, it's very fluid.
Fluid, spontaneous, and frankly, quite difficult to do well. So DJ Love saw this existing cultural identity, these slackers moving in this highly specific low-to-the-ground way, and he basically reverse-engineered the perfect frantic sonic vehicle to match that energy.
Okay, so you have this street dance. Because it was born as a slacker, street culture in marginalized areas, it carried a heavy social stigma,
A massive stigma.
which makes its eventual explosion on a national television incredibly surprising.
Yeah, in its early days, it was heavily looked down upon by cultural elites, authorities, and the middle class. As noted in NME, it was derisively labeled as provincial dancing, or dance for the slums.
Wow.
It was heavily associated with juvenile delinquency and youth drug culture. Specifically, it became tied in the public imagination to what were called rugby boys.
We should probably define that for the listener because it really highlights just how grim the reality was for some of these kids.
Go ahead.
Rugby boys was a term for impoverished street youths who would inhale a brand of contact cement called rugby.
Which is just heartbreaking.
Yeah. And they did this primarily to stave off the feeling of intense hunger. So the elites weren't just looking at a dance. They were looking at a symptom of severe urban poverty that made them very uncomfortable.
And they penalized the art form because of it. It was so heavily stigmatized that event organizers in Davao City, the very birthplace of the genre, literally refused to book local Budo artists for their festivals.
Wait, they wouldn't even let them play in their own city.
No, they would actually spend the budget to fly in mainstream commercial DJs from Manila rather than let DJ Love or anyone from the Budo scene touch the turntables.
That is wild. But rather than back down, DJ Love launches this fascinating counter-movement. He forms local dance groups in his neighborhood, the Camas Boys and the Camas Girl.
Right, named after Camas Street.
Exactly. And to legitimize the culture and actively protect the youth in his community, he starts a public crusade. He heavily promotes the slogan, yes to dance, no to drugs.
He was embedding that into all of his YouTube videos, right?
Yes. He realized he had to actively sever the association between his music and narcotics if the culture was going to survive.
And the mechanism of his success was simply the undeniable kinetic energy of the music itself. I mean, you can ban it from official festivals, but you cannot stop a beat that catchy from spreading from phone to phone.
It's just too infectious.
Exactly. So by 2007, that grassroots momentum forced Budos onto local Davao radio stations. And then in 2008, the dam completely breaks.
The reality TV moment.
Yes. A contestant named Ruben Gonzaga performs the Budos dance on the massive reality show Pinoy Big Brother.
He takes this marginalized, highly stigmatized slum dance and performs it on national television.
And he ends up winning the entire season.
Which just goes to show how much the broader public actually resonated with this raw, unfiltered Filipino spirit once they were allowed to see it.
That reality TV exposure catapulted it to national fame. Suddenly, it wasn't just a Davao City secret. By 2012, major national news programs were dedicating feature segments to it.
They were comparing it to massive global dance crazes, right?
Yeah.
Like the Dergi in the US or Gangnam Style in South Korea.
Exactly.
But that transition creates a really wild dynamic because that mainstream everyman appeal, which was born straight from the impoverished streets and legitimized on reality TV made Budo, an irresistible and highly effective tool for a completely different arena.
National politics.
Yes, national politics.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you are watching a grassroots cultural badge of identity transform directly into political capital.
It's a brilliant, if cynical, mechanism.
Right. Politicians recognized that by performing a dance that the elites actively banned, they could bypass traditional policy speeches.
Right.
Doing the Budots dance visually signaled to millions of marginalized voters without saying a word, I am one of the people.
And Philippine politicians used exactly that visual shorthand. Just to be clear for you listening, we are looking at these political campaigns strictly through the lens of how they utilize the music to signal populism. We're impartially reporting the facts here, not taking sides. So in 2015, a viral video surfaced showing then Davao City Mayor Rodrigo Duterte awkwardly doing the Budots dance with a group of teenagers.
And this video absolutely exploded online.
It really did. And it was heavily utilized during his successful 2016 presidential campaign to cultivate a highly approachable populist image.
And the strategy proved so effective that others adopted it. In 2019, Ramon Baum Revilla Jr. used a Budo-themed campaign ad to successfully secure a spot in the Philippine Senate.
The ad was essentially just him performing the dance to that frantic beat.
Yeah, but what is particularly notable about that specific campaign is that they used DJ Love's track without his permission and without paying him for it.
Wow. So the pioneer of the sound was entirely left out of the massive political machine that was leveraging his art for power.
Exactly.
And the political utility of this sound isn't even confined to the Philippines anymore. Recently, even the U.S. Kamala Harris presidential campaign posted a fan cam style video on TikTok utilizing the viral emergency Budots sound.
It has just become this universal shorthand for approachability.
Isn't it a bizarre paradox, though? I mean, a genre created by marginalized youth, often stigmatized and banned by authorities, becomes the exact soundtrack that politicians use to win power over those same authorities.
It is a profound irony, and the artistic community in the Philippines recognized that tension immediately. The electronic music collective Buwan Buwan actually created parodies to highlight this exact dynamic.
What did they do?
They mixed audio clips of Duterte's speeches directly over Budo beats. By doing that, they were holding a mirror up to this situation, showing how this raw, anti-establishment street energy was being sanitized and co-opted.
Wow. So Budo proves it has the power to mobilize masses nationally. And inevitably, that kind of undeniable energy catches the attention of global tastemakers.
Which catapults the sound onto the world stage, but in doing so, it creates a massive cultural disconnect.
Right. Let's talk about the Boiler Room set.
Yeah, so a massive turning point happened in 2023. Manila Community Radio won a broadcast grant to host a Boiler Room set. For context, Boiler Room is one of the biggest, most prestigious global broadcast platforms for underground electronic music.
It's huge.
And Manila Community Radio made a very deliberate choice. They decided to showcase Budots. DJ Love played a triumphant headlining set.
And the visual setup for this was brilliant. They hosted it in an abandoned Manila warehouse, but they specifically designed the DJ booth and the staging to look like the gaudy neon interior of a jeepney.
And a jeepney, for those who might not know, is the iconic, brightly painted minibus that serves as the backbone of public transportation in the Philippines.
So the visuals matched the street-level origins perfectly.
It was a massive victory, but it immediately sparked a complex debate within the scene. Critics argued that taking this impoverished street culture and packaging it for a predominantly Western elite dance music audience was a form of cultural appropriation.
Because they worried it was turning a lived struggle into an exotic aesthetic for tourists. But the organizers had a very strong counter-argument to that.
They did. They pushed back, arguing that the Philippines severely lacks the infrastructure to elevate underground artists. They viewed the Boiler Room set not as appropriation, but as finally giving marginalized pioneers like DJ Love, the global agency, respect and financial opportunity they had been denied for decades by local elites.
And right as the electronic music world is having this high-level, nuanced debate about cultural appropriation and representation,
The TikTok mutation happens.
here's where it gets really interesting. We jump to late 2023. A producer named DJ John Ray created the emergency track. He took the vocals from Gloria Estefan's 1984 hit Dr. Beat and remixed them at that frantic 140 BPM Budots tempo.
Which, as a side note, DJ Love actually mentioned in interviews that sampling Dr. Beat wasn't a new gimmick. That was an old, established Budo tradition back in the Davao internet cafes.
That's amazing. So DJ John Ree releases his version. Then, in March 2024, a Filipino pilot posts a video using the sound.
And it absolutely explodes.
The algorithm picks it up. It goes globally viral, racking up millions and millions of views. But a highly noticeable cultural fracture occurs as it spreads across the world.
Yeah, because the algorithm inherently strips the music of its context. TikTok creators across the globe heard this frantic street music, but they didn't know the history of the tambay or the street corners of Davao.
So the rest of the world is doing the dance wrong. I mean, fundamentally, mechanically wrong.
Right. They started using it as background noise for stiff, standing-in-place outfit transitions, just gently swaying their shoulders while changing from a sweater to a jacket.
Which is physically the exact opposite of what Budots requires.
Yeah.
And Filipinos online saw this and launched a massive reclamation movement.
Yeah, creators like Nurse John and Michi Colette started posting tutorial videos. They were essentially instructing the world that to truly do Budo, you cannot just stand upright in front of a ring light.
You have to drop your center of gravity, you have to bend your knees, get incredibly low to the ground, and move your hips.
It is a physically demanding routine. It requires moving slowly and fluidly while the beat behind you is racing at 140 beats per minute. The cognitive and physical disconnect is really hard to master.
Even Hank Green, the internet science guy, posted a video trying to participate in the trend, and he is just visibly struggling to do the original dance.
Oh, I saw.
He's panting, he's sweating, and openly admitting how difficult it is to stay that low and maintain that specific rhythm.
And that reclamation movement by Filipino creators is vital because it is a digital insistence that you cannot divorce the sound from the bodies and the culture that created it.
For sure.
When you synthesize this entire journey for the listener, Budots isn't just a catchy 15-second meme. It is an entire ecosystem. It's a story of marginalized street culture, survival, political leverage, and fierce cultural pride that has endured for nearly 2 decades.
And DJ Love is still out there, right?
Yeah, still playing gigs, still pushing the sound forward, and declaring that the genre is here to stay.
So what does this all mean for you? Well, the next time you are mindlessly scrolling on your phone and you hear that emergency paging Dr. Beat loop, I want you to remember what we talked about today. Remember that there might be a 20-year history of street corners, internet cafes, and political campaigns hiding right beneath that thumping bass line. It is never just a sound.
Which leaves us with a final thought to mull over. In our hyper-connected digital age, is a culture going viral globally actually a victory for the artists who created it? Or does the machinery of the algorithm inherently strip away the soul of the art, flattening a rich, complex human story into nothing more than background noise for an outfit change?
Definitely something to think about the next time Dr. Beat gets paged on your feed.